You're listening to Release Your Resistance with Bex Beltran, Episode 1. Welcome to Release Your Resistance. This is Bex. The only reason why any of us don't have what we want in life is because of our own resistance. Right now, I'm learning how to recognize and release my resistance, and this podcast tells you how you can release your resistance so that you can live the exact life that you want. Every Friday, I'll tell you about a concept or person I'm following that's teaching me to release my resistance. Thanks for joining me in this conversation. Let's get started. Welcome to the first official episode of Release Your Resistance. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Bex Beltran, your guide on this journey, and I am a learner, a teacher, a coach, an artist, and a creator. And now I'm creating something fun, challenging, and interesting this year. This podcast for you. It hasn't always been like this for me. I've noticed so much resistance to my own ideas and motivation in the past, and maybe you feel or have felt that same way. Or maybe sometimes, or more often than not, you're feeling listless or bored with your life. Maybe you're trying to figure out what your purpose is, or what you can be passionate about, or maybe you just want to know what you should do with your life. It's possible that at times, fear and anxiety make it hard for you to show up, to take action, and even to consider taking action. Maybe you find yourself doing things to escape or to check out from your current reality. I get it. I know I spent a significant number of years in a fog of self-doubt and supposed societal expectations. I was living my life on autopilot, often going with the default option because I didn't even consider that there was a choice. Can you relate? Podcasts saved my sanity in 2014. I was working at home and I had a lot of time, so I would research and self-educate by watching videos on YouTube, and I loved to take online courses. When I had to move back into the office a few days a week, I was looking for a way that I could continue my self-education during my commute and during my downtimes without watching videos. And that's when I discovered podcasts and audiobooks. So the ability to listen to podcasts on my way to and from work changed everything. It changed my commute, boring stretches during the workday, folding laundry, solo meal prep, working out on the elliptical, walking on my lunch break, and so much more. I'm hoping this podcast will help you this year, and I am committing to posting an episode for you every week of 2020. I have so many episodes planned, and I may roll them out as planned, or I may become enamored with something new along the way, and I'll want to share that with you instead. Have you ever heard that the best way to learn is to teach? So here's what I want to learn in 2020. This year, I want to learn to understand and master resistance. I want to learn how to recognize when my own resistance is holding me back. I want to see the resistance for what it really is: fear, or insecurity, or a protective instinct that maybe doesn't even serve me. And I want to learn to release my resistance. What will you hear about? You'll hear about the concepts and people that changed my life. These are ideas, thoughts, and practices I've been trying out and that are just too good not to share. So, among other things, this podcast will be about how I changed my life. And let me tell you, I love my life. It is amazing, and I feel so lucky to have figured this stuff out. I'll talk about all the important areas of my life where I've transformed, where I've evolved, where I finally understood or got it. You'll hear about the areas of my life where I held on to so much resistance in the past, and how now I've either let it go or I'm learning to let it go. I love to consume, and I am good at it. I love listening to podcasts and audiobooks. I love watching online videos, reading blog posts and email newsletters. I love books, both Kindle and the old-fashioned kind. And now I want to create, not just consume. So I'm ready to expand to a new level by creating this podcast for you and for myself. I do intend to subscribe and listen to it weekly, along with all my other favorite podcasts. In case you're wondering, here's some personal information about me, just so you know a little more about who you are in this juicy conversation with every week. My philosophy of life is to enjoy and relax. I believe I'm entitled to a great life because I have created the life I'm entitled to. I like to be collaborative. I don't need to be competitive. You'll hear me say my favorite words: amazing, beautiful, perfect. I love my time alone. And I get so energized having juicy conversations with people who are on the same wavelength. I love funny people and clever jokes. My extravagance is spending energy, time, and money on things that make me happy. Anything that delights me or makes me want to dive in. I like colors and organizing things, which is why I chose .org as my domain suffix. I like making playlists and to-do lists and wish lists, really any type of lists. I'm down. I live in Chandler, Arizona. I love it here. I never want to move. But if you asked me what is so great about Arizona, I really have no idea. I mean, I love other places too, but I would just never want to leave Chandler. If I had to narrow it down, I would say it's probably the weather. I don't mind the heat during the summer at all. And because of our extreme summers, it actually feels like we get 2 springs or 2 cycles of rebirth every year. Of course, we get the regular spring after the winter, but we also get this rebirth stage in the fall after it finally cools down enough that we can all come outside again. It feels like coming out of a dormant stage. I'm married and I have a dog and I love going to Zumba. I'm in my 40s. I used to hate to talk about my age, but now I'm totally into it. It's so strange that in my 30s, I felt like I was getting old and I resented being 30 years old. And I was homesick for my 20s. But now that I'm in my 40s, I am so appreciative for what I've learned and how I've matured and what I have and what I've given up. And I'm really just pleased with myself. And I actually like that feeling. And I think this is the best I've ever been in my life. And that is another reason why I want to do this podcast for you. Because again, I just think it's too good not to share. Why wouldn't I share what I've learned and what I've realized and what I've experimented with and what I'm still learning and what I'm still figuring out? Why wouldn't I share it? It's just too good not to. Enough about me. Let's talk about what you can expect from this podcast. You'll get an episode every Friday. Each episode will tell you a concept I've learned or am currently learning or about someone who has changed my life by what they've taught me. You'll hear about mindsets, beliefs, human psychology and behavior, and a little bit of what might be called pseudoscience or metaphysical. I call it woo. I told you at the beginning of this episode, I'm a learner, a teacher, a coach, an artist, and a creator. So you've probably already figured out why I consider myself a learner. I love to self-educate with podcasts and audiobooks, and occasionally I actually read a book with my eyes too, but not so much anymore. Over my career, I have taught a lot of different topics in a lot of different settings, but for now, I'm teaching you how I've changed my life and how you can consider these concepts for your own life. I recently became certified as a coach through the Life Coach School, so you'll hear me talking a lot about self-coaching, being coached, and offering you coaching sessions. I consider myself an artist, even though I don't currently have a dedicated art practice, unless you consider podcasting, which I actually do. I am creating this for your enjoyment, to make you think, to make you feel, to engage you, to inspire you, and to delight you. And as I'm putting the 2020 episodes together, I am thinking of composition and topic placement and continuity and all sorts of artistic stuff. But in the more traditional sense of being an artist, I've dabbled in watercolor and crafts. I do like interior design and fashion, so I'm calling it. I'm an artist. And I'm a creator. I am creating this podcast for you. But more importantly, I am creating the life for myself that I want to live. I'm creating opportunities and solutions to problems and bridges over troubled waters. I'm creating portals to get to where I want and escape hatches to get away from what I don't want. I'm co-creating relationships and dialogues and memories with people I love. As I've been describing myself, I hope you've been thinking about yourself. How do you introduce yourself to yourself without using any external descriptors? Do you think of yourself as an artist? As a creator? Are you a teacher? I know you're a learner since you're listening to this. And if you're into it, I hope you will become a coach too, specifically a self-coach. I hope you'll start thinking about the results you have today in your life and trace them back to your thoughts that created those results and decide if they are the results that you want. And if so, great. Keep thinking those thoughts. If not, I hope you'll consider coaching yourself to create a more intentional life for yourself. I hope you'll notice the resistance that may be holding you back from what you really want, and I hope you will coach yourself to release your resistance. For the moment, though, I hope you'll also identify yourself as a friend or at least a student of mine. Subscribe to this podcast so we can have our juicy conversations together every Friday. That's it. I just wanted to introduce myself and let you know what I'm doing for you with this podcast. And now I want to hear your thoughts and your reactions. What questions do you have for me? Send me an email at hi@bexb.org. because I like to organize things. So that's hi@bexb.org. And just in case you don't want to wait a week, I have the next episode ready for you right now. It's called 6 Concepts That Changed My Life. And I give you an overview of how my life has dramatically improved and how it's continuing to get better and better. I'm curious if you practice any of these concepts for yourself already, or if you can imagine yourself trying any of them out. So I'm excited to share them with you. Go get that episode right now. Thank you for listening today. Talk to you next time. This has been Release Your Resistance. Thanks for listening. If you like this podcast, make sure you are subscribed and please leave me a review on iTunes. If you'd like to continue this conversation one-on-one or in real time, come visit me on my site at bexb.org to see how we can work together.